Chapter 6. Qin Xianglian. On the road to the capital city, the carriage ambled forward leisurely. Cracking the whip, Zhang Cheng sang Huangmei opera softly. Since I was small, my parents told me, Huangmei opera isn't easy to sing. Mimicking the movements of adults, I fulfilled my wish. To save Brother Li, I left my home. Who knew I'd become the top scholar on the imperial list? Top scholar. Wearing red robes with palace flowers in my hat. How wonderful, how fresh. Pinching his fingers together in a gesture, Zhang Cheng looked at Feng Suzhen with a smile, his eyes full of teasing. Zhang Cheng's courtesy name, what are you singing? I feel like something is a bit off. Covered in goosebumps, Feng Suzhen looked at Zhang Cheng and couldn't help but ask. It's Huangmei opera. Do you like it? Looking at Feng Suzhen with a broad smile, Zhang Cheng asked. Cousin, your singing is actually quite good. Giving a thumbs up, Situ Yaozu spoke with a cigarette hanging from his mouth. Thanks, younger male cousin. Hearing Situ Yaozu's words, Zhang Cheng couldn't help but laugh. Enough, you two. Glaring at Zhang Cheng and Situ Yaozu with annoyance, Feng Suzhen's face was lined with frustration. Because she felt that the Huangmei opera Zhang Cheng was singing had something to do with her. What was that about leaving home to save Brother Li only to become the top scholar? Thinking of this, Feng Suzhen felt a chill run through her body and said, I'm not actually going to take the imperial exams and become the top scholar, am I? Just as Feng Suzhen fell into deep doubt, the sky gradually began to turn gloomy. Cousin, it's going to rain. Looking up, Situ Yaozu quickly shouted. Quick! Look ahead and see if there's anywhere to take shelter. Hearing Situ Yaozu's words, Zhang Cheng also quickly retracted his cynical attitude. After all, in ancient times, a cold was no small matter. Even a fever could mean death at any moment. Driving forward, the three of them found a mountain god temple in a remote area to shelter from the rain. Luckily, there's a temple here, otherwise we'd be finished. Running inside with her hands over her head, Feng Suzhen's clothes were already somewhat damp. However, as soon as she noticed a gaze from the side, she immediately covered her chest with her hands and said, What are you looking at? Are you crazy? I'm looking for firewood. You really think everyone likes a flat board like you? Walking forward, Zhang Cheng brushed Feng Suzhen aside and said, Move out of the way! Going to a corner, Zhang Cheng picked up some discarded wooden boards, snapped them, and made a simple campfire. He knew these little tricks entirely because before coming to the Northern Song, he loved watching men's time-waster videos. Things like hoof trimming, old Debiao hauling bananas, wilderness camping, and 100 ways to survive. Seeing Zhang Cheng's complete lack of interest in her, Feng Suzhen suddenly felt a bit angry for some reason. Even if she didn't understand what flat board meant, she could see the blatant disdain in his eyes. Cousin, the rain outside is so heavy. Carrying a pot of water inside, Situ Yaozu's cigarette was completely soaked. Looking at Situ Yaozu, Zhang Cheng quickly handed him a bath towel from his storage space and said, Dry yourself off first. Don't catch a cold. Thanks, cousin. Taking the towel, Situ Yaozu quickly began to dry his dripping wet hair. Watching this scene, Feng Suzhen actually wanted to reach out as well, but she felt a bit embarrassed. Sensing Feng Suzhen's thoughts, Zhang Cheng also reached back and handed her a bath towel, saying, Here, don't get sick, or it'll be hard for us to manage. Humph. Reaching out to take the towel, Feng Suzhen acted all prideful and aloof. Looking at Feng Suzhen, Zhang Cheng said nothing and turned back to add wood to the campfire. Sitting by the fire, the group dried their damp clothes while eating instant noodles. Cousin, where's the beef in this braised beef noodle? Where is it? Looking at Zhang Cheng curiously, Situ Yaozu asked in confusion. Younger male cousin, there's no wife in a wife cake either. Looking at Situ Yaozu speechlessly, Zhang Cheng didn't even know how to explain it. But just then, Feng Suzhen smiled and said, There are no husbands and wives in husband and wife lung slices either. And someone riding a white horse isn't necessarily Tang Sanzang. Situ Yaozu added. Opening up with laughter, everyone began playing word games. However, at that moment, a clap of thunder suddenly rang out in the sky. Boom! Under the massive sound, the three of them couldn't help but be startled. Holding a cigarette, Zhang Cheng couldn't resist poking his head out and saying, Holy crap! Which fellow Taoist is undergoing tribulation here? Undergoing tribulation? Does that mean there really are immortals in this world? Looking at Zhang Cheng curiously, Feng Suzhen's face showed a look of surprise. I don't know about immortals, but if scumbags are making oaths, there must be quite a few. Speaking with a sigh, Situ Yaozu looked like someone who had seen it all. While they were thinking, 3 figures ran in from the heavy rain. Leading children, a woman pulled her son and daughter and said, I didn't know you were here taking shelter. Sorry for the intrusion. It's fine, no problem. Seeing her apologize as soon as she entered, Zhang Chang quickly stood up and said, Younger male cousin, where's the towel? Give her one to dry off with. Right here, cousin. Picking up a hanging towel from the side, Situ Yaozu quickly handed it over. Watching Zhang Chang and Situ Yaozu's actions, Feng Suzhen also quickly said, Sister, use mine. Thank you, you 3. Seeing Zhang Chang and the others' actions, the woman was immediately grateful and said, Dongji, Chunmei, say thank you. Thank you, big sister. Hiding behind the woman, the children named Dongji and Chunmei immediately spoke timidly. You're welcome. Speaking with a broad smile, Feng Suzhen crouched down to help them dry their bodies. Dongji, Chunmei, looking curiously at the woman and the children beside her. Zhang Chang became suspicious, because Qin Xianglian's children seemed to have these names as well. Could she be Qin Xianglian? Coming to the campfire and smelling the aroma of the instant noodles they had just finished, Dongji and Chunmei's stomachs began to growl. Taking out a bundle with some embarrassment, Qin Xianglian pulled out a few dry rations and said, Everyone, this humble woman only has this. If you don't mind, please have some. Hearing Qin Xianglian's words, Zhang Chang turned around and took out 3 boxes of instant noodles from his pack, saying, Eat this instead. Dry rations are hard to digest. How can I accept this? Looking at Zhang Chang uncomfortably, Qin Xianglian quickly tried to refuse. But at that moment, Zhang Chang tore open the packaging and said, I've already opened it. It can't be saved now. Thank you. Expressing her gratitude with embarrassment, Qin Xianglian also had Dongji and Chunmei give their thanks. A few minutes later, watching Dongji and Chunmei eat the instant noodles as if they wanted to stick their whole heads in, Qin Xianglian's face turned red, because she had never eaten anything like this before. It was simply too fragrant. Sister, did you come from the capital city? Looking at Qin Xianglian curiously, Feng Suzhen asked. Yes. I originally wanted to bring the children to find their father, but, speaking bitterly, a look of sadness appeared on Qin Xianglian's face. Seeing Qin Xianglian like this, Zhang Chang understood. She really was Qin Xianglian, and if he wasn't mistaken, the person hunting her down should be arriving soon. Boom! A clap of thunder roared. Outside the mountain god temple, a figure slowly walked in, but immediately froze in place, because he was Han Qi, Qian Shimi's family general, sent to hunt down Qin Xianglian. But after entering, he found that it wasn't just Qin Xianglian and the children here. There were also 3 strangers. Chapter 7. Bao Longtu. Outside the capital city at the mountain god temple, the several people who had been staring at each other were now making eye contact. Looking at Han Qi, Zhang Chang knew that the other party had been ordered to hunt down Qin Xianglian, but due to his sense of loyalty and righteousness, he couldn't bring himself to strike, so he chose to commit suicide. He even left a final letter on his person, which Bao Zhang eventually saw, revealing that all of this was done under Qian Shimi's instruction. In the end, Qian Shimi was executed by the Dragon Head Execution Blade. Everyone, I wish to speak with Qin Xianglian about something. After a long silence, Han Qi finally chose to speak first. Otherwise, Situ Yaozu and Zhang Chang would have come at him with swords and blades. Me? Qin Xianglian looked at Han Qi in confusion and said blankly, But I have never met you before. I am the household retainer of Consort Chun. Han Qi looked earnestly at Qin Xianglian and began to explain. Consort. Feng Suzhen, standing nearby, looked at Han Qi in disbelief and gasped in surprise. Be careful, cousin. This guy's martial arts are very high level. Situ Yaozu watched Han Qi cautiously, threw the cigarette in his hand onto the ground, and crushed it with his foot. Looking at Situ Yaozu, Zhang Chang also reached for his chest, as that was where his hidden weapon, the sky-scattering flower rain, was kept. I'll go over and talk with you. Upon hearing Han Qi mention the consort, a look of sadness immediately appeared on Qin Xianglian's face. No need to go over and talk. Just say it here. Looking at Han Qi before him, Zhang Chang stepped forward, blocking Qin Xianglian. That's right. Whatever you have to say it here. Seeing Zhang Cheng's action, Situ Yaozu also immediately stepped forward and spoke. Are you too determined to interfere in the affairs of the consort's residence? Looking earnestly at Zhang Chang and Situ Yaozu, Han Qi couldn't help but become serious. Don't try to pressure me with the consort's residence. My old Zhang family isn't afraid of that. Zhang Chang looked calmly at Han Qi, gripping his blade, his eyes filled with seriousness. If Chen Shimi had simply let Qin Xianglian leave instead of sending Han Qi to hunt her down, he could have pretended nothing happened. After all, this was a family matter, just like how Feng Suzhen's mother, Lady Wang, framed Li Xiaoting. That was none of his business. But Chen Shimi's actions were undoubtedly excessive, reaching the height of immorality. Dong Gu and Chun Mei are his biological children. You must know that even a vicious tiger wouldn't eat its own cub, yet Chen Shimi was crueler than a tiger. If Han Qi wanted to prove his loyalty and righteousness, Zhang Chang might offer a word or two of advice. But if he wanted to fight, this person Zhang wasn't someone to be trifled with. Zhang Chang. Although I don't prioritize integrity, I hate it even more when others don't. Situ Yaozu, cousin, is that something to be proud of? Looking at Zhang Chang and Situ Yaozu, a bitter expression appeared on Han Qi's face, and he said, since you have encountered such a loyal and righteous person, then Han Qi can rest assured. After saying this, Han Qi pulled out a dagger with a backhand motion and plunged it straight into his heart. Zhang Chang stared at Han Qi in disbelief. Although he had been prepared, he was still stunned. Because in later generations, everyone started disregarding martial ethics, but he hadn't expected Han Qi, as Chen Shimi's household retainer, to be so loyal. Hurry and leave. The consort of the capital city won't let this rest easily. Looking at Qin Xianglian before him, Han Qi gradually lost his breath after speaking his last words. Covering her mouth, Feng Suzhen watched the scene, completely terrified. Turning around and covering the eyes of Dong Gu and Chun Mei, she was trembling all over. Watching this scene, Qin Xianglian couldn't help but be stunned. Cousin, he. Looking at Han Qi, Situ Yaozu was taken aback. Bury him. He was a man of loyalty and righteousness. Thinking of the cause and effect, Zhang Chang sighed helplessly. Because people like Han Qi were simply too hard to find. After being busy for a long time, when Han Qi was buried, Zhang Chang held a letter and said, this was left by Han Qi. If you want to leave, there is also quite a bit of silver here. No, I won't leave. I want to file a complaint against Chen Shimi. Speaking with a determined expression, Qin Xianglian straightened her back after saying those words. Because originally, after knowing the truth, she just wanted to leave the capital city as quickly as possible. But now, Chen Shimi wouldn't even spare his own biological children, and Qin Xianglian was utterly despairing. All right, Sister Qin, I'll help you. Coming to Qin Xianglian's side, Feng Suzhen's eyes were also filled with resolve. She truly hadn't expected there to be someone like Chen Shimi in the world, abandoning his faithful wife just to marry a princess, and even sending people to hunt her down. He was practically inhuman. What about you two? Feng Suzhen looked at Zhang Chang and Situ Yaozu and asked, what else can we do? Of course, we'll help. Shrugging his hands helplessly, Zhang Chang sighed. Because of Han Qi's incident, he also wanted to see what kind of person this Chen Shimi truly was. But what Zhang Chang was even more curious about was Bao Zheng. Did he actually have a crescent moon mark on his forehead? The next morning, the sunlight broke through the dark clouds and scattered across the land. Qin Xianglian bought sandalwood and other items from a nearby small town, paid respects to Han Qi, and then followed Zhang Chang and the others into the capital. The capital city, also known as Dongjing and Kaifeng, the capital of the Northern Song dynasty, located in Kaifeng. The famous painting passed down through the ages, along the river during the Qingming festival, depicts the scenery along the Kaifeng River. And the phrase, eternal prosperity seems like yesterday, along the river during the Qingming festival is peerless, came from the great song's #1 female gambling goddess and drunkard, Li Qingzhao. Entering Kaifeng City, the bustling scene immediately made people feel as if they had stepped into another world. Hearing the shouts, Situ Yaozu and Zhang Chang both turned their heads to look, appearing extremely surprised. In front of Kaifeng Prefecture, looking at the drum of grievances, Qin Xianglian slowly walked forward and immediately struck it. Hearing the sound of the court drum, Bao Zheng, who was inside the yamen, quickly frowned and said, the drum of grievances has been struck? Dynasty, Mahan, open court. Standing up and straightening his clothes, Bao Zheng walked toward the yamen. Just as the runner arrived one after another, Bao Zheng sat on the high platform, while Gong Sun Su stood beside him. "Ah!" The runner shouted loudly as the water-fire rods struck the ground. "Bring in the person who struck the drum." Striking the gavel in his hand, Bao Zheng couldn't help but roar. Soon after, once Qin Xianglian and the others were brought in, she immediately spoke. "This common woman, Qin Xianglian, greets the great Lord Blue Sky." "Wow, Bao Zheng, the living Bao Longtu." Zhang Cheng stared wide-eyed at Bao Zheng, his eyes seemingly glowing, because this was a true man, known even in the modern era thousands of years later as the great Lord Blue Sky. However, looking at Zhang Cheng, Bao Zheng frowned and said, "Who are you?" Reporting to Bao Qing Tian, this humble commoner, Zhang Cheng, is Qin Xianglian's litigation master. Zhang Cheng cupped his hands in a polite greeting and explained, because among the three, the only ones who could serve as litigation masters were Zhang Cheng and Feng Suzhen. However, Feng Suzhen couldn't enter the court, and Situ Yaozu was completely out of the question. Did you expect him to discuss Chen Shimi with Bao Zheng while smoking a cigarette? So, as the best of a bad bunch, Zhang Cheng became the litigation master. "Zhang Cheng, I am very unhappy that you put it that way. Thanks to the etiquette system of the Song dynasty, commoners did not need to kneel when entering the yamen. Otherwise, Zhang Cheng would definitely have kowtowed to Bao Zheng. Why have you come here today?" Looking at the slightly timid Qin Xianglian before him, Bao Zheng spoke thoughtfully. This humble commoner wishes to accuse imperial son-in-law Chen Shimi of abandoning his wife and children, using silver to commit murder, and deceiving the imperial family. Cupping his hands, Zhang Cheng took out the indictment and presented it with both hands. Gong Sun Su, serving as the legal advisor, stared at Zhang Cheng in shock, completely dumbfounded, because he hadn't expected the young man before him to be so adept at finding charges. Never mind whether Chen Shimi actually committed them. Every single charge here was enough to send him to the execution blade. Chapter 8. Soaring 9,000 miles with the wind. In the capital city, Kaifeng Prefecture, the moment the grievance drum was struck, the common people all gathered to watch. Standing outside the yamen gates, when the people heard who Zhang Cheng was accusing, they immediately drew in a sharp breath. For this was the current imperial son-in-law, Chen Shimi. He had actually abandoned his wife and child, and even dispatched assassins to kill them. As the commoners outside began to discuss fervently, Bao Zheng also knew this matter could not be suppressed. However, as Bao Qingtian, Bao Zheng had no intention of pretending this never happened. "Zhan Zhao, where are you?" Slapping the magistrate's wooden block, Bao Zheng immediately became stern. "Your Honor, Zhan Zhao is here." Stepping forward with hands clasped, Zhan Zhao also immediately became serious. "Bring the imperial son-in-law, Chen Shimi, to court for questioning." After giving the order, Bao Zheng looked at the confession in his hand, and a light gradually appeared in his eyes. For Bao Zheng did not believe the words of Zhang Cheng and Qin Xianglian alone, but here was also a confession from Chen Shimi's family guard, Han Qi, which forced Bao Zheng to believe this matter. Princess's mansion, in the courtyard, Chen Shimi was waiting for Han Qi to return and report the completion of his task. But there was no news, which inevitably made him feel somewhat panicked. But just then, the princess, supported by her maids, walked over. "Husband, is something troubling you?" Inquiring of Chen Shimi, the princess asked curiously, for she could sense Chen Shimi was somewhat distracted. "It's nothing. I've just been a bit vexed lately." Hearing the princess's words, Chen Shimi hurriedly explained. But in the very next second, a servant from outside came forward and said, "Princess son-in-law, officers from Kaifeng Prefecture are here. They wish to summon the son-in-law to court." "The son-in-law?" Speaking incredulously, the princess turned her head in confusion. But upon hearing these words, Chen Shimi's heart was filled with panic, for he knew his affair was exposed. "My lady, save me, my lady." Grabbing the princess's hand, a look of fear immediately appeared on Chen Shimi's face. "Husband, what exactly is this matter? You must tell me." Looking at Chen Shimi, the princess couldn't help but grow anxious. For Kaifeng was Bao Zheng's domain. If he summoned someone to court, one must never doubt it. It was absolutely not a good thing. "My lady, it's like this." After Chen Shimi explained his situation, the princess said somewhat frantically, "How could you already have a wife? That was a matchmaker's arrangement. I have always loved you. Don't you know that, my lady? Holding the princess's hand, Chun Shimi displayed deep affection to the utmost. Hearing Chun Shimi say this, the princess pursed her lips and said, "You go first. I will immediately enter the palace to seek Mother Empress's help on your behalf." Looking at Chun Shimi, the princess could only go and summon reinforcements first. After all, even though she was a princess, she held no authority whatsoever when facing Bao Haizi. And in the entire Northern Song dynasty, those who could pressure Bao Zheng absolutely did not exceed 1.5 persons. Emperor Runzong Zhaozhen was impossible, for when Bao Haizi's stubborn temper flared up, he truly dared to drag Zhaozhen out and berate him. But in certain aspects, if Zhaozhen pleaded, he could also make Bao Zheng show some leniency. And the other half was the Empress Dowager. For back then, due to the raccoon cat for Crown Prince case, Zhaozhen felt he had wronged the Empress Dowager, so there was some guilt involved. Within the inner palace, when the Empress Dowager learned her daughter requested an audience, she immediately summoned her in. Looking at Mother Empress, the princess immediately tearfully recounted the events, though she portrayed Qin Xianglian as a greedy and insatiable person. Learning that Chun Shimi actually had another wife, the Empress Dowager was very angry, but seeing how much her daughter loved her son-in-law, a hesitant look also flashed in her eyes. For Chun Shimi had deceived the imperial family. "Mother Empress, I beg you, if I lose my son-in-law, your daughter does not wish to live either." Grasping the Empress Dowager's hand, the princess's face was covered in tears. And looking at her daughter, the Empress Dowager could only choose to go to Kaifeng Prefecture, at the very least to preserve Chun Shimi's life. As for money, they simply did not care about such things. Inside Kaifeng Prefecture, when Chen Shimi arrived, many commoners' faces revealed looks of disdain. For this was the man who had passed the imperial examinations as the top scholar, then abandoned his wife and child. Utterly shameful. "Qin Xianglian, I already gave you silver to go back. Why must you do this?" Angrily looking at Qin Xianglian, Chun Shimi chose to fire the first shot. After all, even if he had hired assassins, he absolutely could not admit it. This was not something he, as a son-in-law, could bear. The son-in-law truly has a silver tongue. No wonder he could marry the princess. Truly impressive. Looking at Chun Shimi with a full-faced smile, Zhang Chang couldn't help but mock. "Who are you?" Looking at Zhang Chang, Chun Shimi couldn't help but frown. "This humble commoner is none other than Qin Xianglian's litigation master, and I have also met the son-in-law's family guard Han Qi." Clasping his hands as he spoke, Zhang Chang sighed. Originally a child of a poor family, entered the capital and became the top scholar, married the princess high above, became the imperial son-in-law. It should have been a good thing. But who could have imagined that someone could be so devoid of conscience, daring to lay hands even on his own child, failing to have them killed by assassins, and now in the yamen he turns around and blames the victim. "Why don't you ride the wind and soar 90,000 miles? Pointing at Chun Shimi, Zhang Cheng's words showed not a shred of face. "You dare slander this son-in-law like this?" Looking at Zhang Cheng in shock, Chun Shimi never expected someone would dare point at his nose and curse him. "Whether I am slandering the son-in-law or not, the people have eyes and ears. The hall bears the plaque, the bright mirror hangs high. A rat has its skin, a man without decency." A man without decency? What is he if not dead? Looking at Chun Shimi imperiously, Zhang Chang couldn't help but roar angrily. "Good. Well said. The litigation master is right. Such a son-in-law deserves no face. That young gentleman is so handsome." As the commoners outside the court cheered, Chun Shimi's eyes had already turned bloodshot. The Empress Dowager and the princess have arrived. Just as Bao Zhang and Gong Sun Su looked at each other, watching Zhang Cheng battle Chun Shimi with words, a sharp voice rang out. Turning their heads, they saw the princess supporting the Empress Dowager as she entered. "Greetings, Mother Empress." Hurriedly straightening his appearance to pay respects, Chun Shimi knew his reinforcements had arrived. "Your subjects Bao Zhang, Gong Sun Su, and Zhan Zhao greet the Empress Dowager." As everyone in the yamen bowed with clasped hands, Zhang Cheng also couldn't help but narrow his eyes, for he knew this matter had become difficult. But now the pressure was entirely on Bao Zhang. And if Bao Zhang could not execute Chun Shimi with the guillotine, then this person Zhang, would have to change his identity. Zhang Cheng. If Song Law cannot protect Qin Xianglian, then it similarly cannot protect you. Situ Yaozu. Cousin. Calm down, cousin. Huipu. Wait. This move. I'm familiar with it. All ministers, rise. Raising a hand, the Empress Dowager sat down on a chair, then leaned on her dragon-headed walking stick and said, "This old woman has come only to observe, to ensure no one bullies my daughter." After saying this, the Empress Dowager gave Bao Zheng a meaningful look. Facing the Empress Dowager's hint, Bao Zheng clasped his hands and said, "Bao Zheng will certainly handle this impartially according to the law. This is bad, what to do?" Anxiously watching everything before him, Situ Yaozu grew somewhat worried. For if even the Empress Dowager had come, could his cousin still help Qin Xianglian seek justice? "Don't worry, it will be fine. Bao Qingtian will certainly succeed." Speaking firmly, Feng Suzhen had great faith in Bao Zheng. And after hearing Feng Suzhen's words, Situ Yaozu also gradually set his mind at ease. Chapter 9. Bao Zheng. Even the director would get beheaded. Kaifeng Prefecture. After the Empress Dowager arrived, Chun Shimi's back straightened considerably. Watching this scene, a chill flashed in Bao Zheng's eyes, for if the Empress Dowager intervened, it would inevitably complicate the matter. Sitting on a chair to the side, the Empress Dowager remained silent, yet the pressure she exerted was felt by everyone below. Chun Shimi, with both witnesses and material evidence now present. "What do you have to say for yourself?" Staring sternly at Chun Shimi, Bao Zheng couldn't help but slam the gavel. "I do not confess." Speaking with an arrogant air, Chun Shimi immediately clasped his hands behind his back. "You don't confess? Was Han Chi not your retainer?" Seeing Chun Shimi attempt to weasel out, Bao Zheng roared in anger. "This matter was done privately by Han Chi. What does it have to do with this royal son-in-law?" Lifting his head, Chun Shimi continued after speaking. "Could you possibly have Han Chi come and testify against this royal son-in-law? Fine. Since you say so, I will let you see the letter Han Chi left behind." Slamming the gavel and shouting angrily, even Bao Zheng hadn't anticipated Chun Shimi's skin could be so thick. But just as Bao Zheng ordered the letter to be handed to Chan Shimi, a look of panic immediately appeared on Chan Shimi's face, for this was indeed Han Chi's handwriting. Impossible! Han Chi would never betray this royal son-in-law. This is fake. As he spoke, Chun Shimi hurriedly tore the letter in his hands to shreds. Watching Chun Shimi's actions, Bao Zheng showed not a trace of worry, sternly rebuking, "Does the royal son-in-law believe what you held was the original?" "What?" Staring at Bao Zheng in disbelief, Chun Shimi was suddenly dumbstruck. At that moment, Bao Zheng produced the genuine letter from Han Chi, saying, "This is the true final testament Han Chi left. You dared to trick me." Looking at Bao Zheng before him, Chun Shimi couldn't help but roar. "This prefect did trick you. What are you going to do about it?" Hearing Chun Shimi's words, Bao Zheng also roared in anger. He was already furious about Chun Shimi abandoning his wife and children and sending assassins to kill them. He never expected him to be so shameless. Truly, as Zhang Chang had said, he simply had no sense of shame. Since both witnesses and evidence are present, this prefect no longer cares whether you confess or not. "Guards, bring out the executioner's blade." Slamming the gavel and roaring, Bao Zheng showed no regard for the Empress Dowager sitting beside him. "Bao Zheng, how dare you?" Hearing Bao Zheng's words, the princess couldn't help but shout. "What does this official not dare?" "Princess, do not forget, this is Kaifeng Prefecture." Hearing the princess's words, Bao Zheng also grew stern. "Enough, Bao Zheng. Do you take me for a ghost?" Thumping her dragon-head cane, the Empress Dowager couldn't help but roar angrily, for if she were a moment later, Chun Shimi would truly be under the executioner's blade. "Does your majesty intend to obstruct this official's judgment of the case?" Staring at the Empress Dowager before him, Bao Zheng also grew stern. "If you wish to behead the royal son-in-law, you might as well behead this old woman first." After saying this, the Empress Dowager placed her dragon-head cane beneath the executioner's blade. Watching this scene, not only Bao Zheng but even Zhan Zhao, who had been sharpening his blade nearby, was dumbfounded. Wasn't this just pure shamelessness? The dragon-head cane was an object bestowed by the late emperor. No matter how unyielding Bao Zheng was, he dared not act. Watching all this in silence, no one in the courtroom dared to speak. "Qin Xianglian, isn't it just money you want? Here are 500 taels. Take the money and go home." As she spoke, the princess pulled a stack of silver notes from her bosom. Looking at these silver notes, Bao Zheng also walked down, saying, "Qin Xianglian, is Lord Bao also here to persuade me?" Looking at Bao Zheng bitterly, Qin Xianglian staggered, her heart ashen. If I were after money, why would I have come here? It seems there is no justice in this world. Uttering these words in desolation, Qin Xianglian was now weeping profusely. But at that moment, Zhang Cheng, who had remained motionless until now, approached the Empress Dowager. Villain, what are you doing? You dare snatch this old woman's dragon head cane? Quick, seize him. Shouting in fury, the Empress Dowager roared. Turning to look, everyone was dumbfounded by the scene before them. For Zhang Cheng, Qin Xianglian's litigation master, had actually snatched the dragon head cane and was running outside. Behead him, quickly, behead him. While running, Zhang Cheng kept shouting, behead him, Lord Bao, behead him. Quickly stepping aside, the commoners, seeing Zhang Cheng emerge, immediately blocked the pursuers behind him. Behead! Seeing the dragon head cane gone, Bao Zheng immediately roared. Bao Zheng, how dare you? Glaring furiously at Bao Zheng, the Empress Dowager reprimanded him. Today I, Bao Zheng, would rather lose my official's cap than let him go unpunished. Removing his hat and placing it on the tribunal table, Bao Zheng roared, behead him! Yes! Upon Bao Zheng's command, Dynasty, Ma Han, Zhang Long, and Zhao Hu, who were standing nearby, immediately pressed the previously arrogant Chen Shimi onto the executioner's block. Bao Zheng, pointing an angry finger, the Empress Dowager looked at Bao Zheng, her eyes filled with rage. Your Majesty must not forget. The inner court must not interfere in governance. Seeing the Empress Dowager still trying to interfere, Bao Haizi's temper finally flared completely. Even Emperor Ranzong Zhaozhen he dared to admonish, let alone the Empress Dowager? Bao Zheng, I am determined to behead Chen Shimi. Even if the director came, it wouldn't stop me. Princess, save me. Struggling desperately, Chen Shimi couldn't help but wail miserably. But as Zhan Zhao pulled the executioner's blade, Chen Shimi immediately fell silent. Royal son-in-law, staring in disbelief at this scene, the princess immediately burst into tears. At that moment, Zhang Cheng also returned, handing the dragon head cane to Zhan Zhao beside him and saying, this commoner begs for punishment. Villain, how dare you do this? Glaring furiously at Zhang Cheng, the Empress Dowager roared. Your Majesty must not forget, it was Lord Bao who once risked his official cap to judge your case. Now that you have status, do you wish to forget the past? Looking at the Empress Dowager, Zhang Cheng's words completely silenced her. After a long while, the Empress Dowager finally staggered, leaning on her dragon head cane, and said, enough, enough, let us return to the palace. Supporting the Empress Dowager as she left, the princess's face was also streaked with tears. At that moment, Bao Zheng looked at Zhang Cheng and said, you snatched an object bestowed by the late emperor in the courtroom. Considering it is your first offense, you are to be imprisoned and serve 3 months of labor. Any complaints? This commoner has none. Thank you, Lord Bao. Hearing Bao Zheng's words, Zhang Cheng couldn't help but smile, for he had actually survived Bao Zheng's judgment, and after snatching the late emperor's bestowed dragon head cane, no less. TSK, TSK, TSK. If word got out, wouldn't this be something to boast about for a lifetime? Zhang Cheng. You know Bao Zheng of Kaifeng Prefecture? I committed an offense under his jurisdiction and still survived. Ignorant masses. Holy shit? Benefactor. Hearing that Zhang Cheng was to be imprisoned in Kaifeng Prefecture and serve 3 months of labor, Qin Xianglian couldn't help but worry. Don't worry, it's fine. Inside Kaifeng Prefecture, everyone is talented. I really like it there. As for labor service is impossible. In this life, labor service is simply impossible. Just as Zhang Cheng spoke with a beaming smile, Bao Zheng, Gong Sun Su, and the others behind him turned livid. Did this kid really want to live in Kaifeng Prefecture for the rest of his life? Cousin, don't worry. 3 months will pass quickly. Watching Zhang Cheng being led away, Situ Yaozu shouted. Younger cousin, your older cousin is off for further training. Wait until I come out, and we'll make it big and strong together. Waving goodbye, Zhang Cheng was led by Dynasty and Ma Han towards the Kaifeng Prefecture prison. Chapter 10. Call me Brother Cheng. Kaifeng Prefecture, the main prison. Having just arrived here, Zhang Cheng seemed quite relaxed and content. After all, furthering one's studies, that's a very common thing everywhere. Haven't you seen how even the corner boss pet Raven had to go get some gilding? Besides, Bao Zheng was already giving him a lot of face by letting him live. Hey, move over. Moving into the crowd, Zhang Cheng found a spot and sat down. Looking at the person beside him, Zhang Cheng couldn't help but ask, "Brother, how did you get in here?" "Theft." Seeing Zhang Cheng's old-hand demeanor, the somewhat skinny man next to him hurriedly explained, "Theft? How can you be so incompetent? How about you come work for me after you get out?" Patting the man's shoulder, Zhang Cheng inquired, "I stole from a prince's mansion. In a couple of days, I'm being exiled 3,000 li away." Boo-hoo. Hearing Zhang Cheng's words, the man became distressed. "Ah, exiled 3,000 li? Well, have a smooth journey then." Looking at the man in surprise, Zhang Cheng hadn't expected the other guy to be so bold, daring to burgle a prince's mansion. "And what about you, brother?" "Huh, brother. Why are your pectoral muscles so exaggerated?" Staring dumbfounded at the man before him, Zhang Cheng couldn't help but blink, looking very puzzled, because he had only seen such exaggerated pectoral muscles on Feng Suzhen before. Turning her head, Bai Yutong looked directly at Zhang Cheng and said, "Don't make me hit you. A mouse falls in love with a cat." "Okay, brother." Nodding, Zhang Cheng immediately became well-behaved, because he really didn't want to get beaten up on his first day inside. Better to lie low for now, right? Thinking this, Zhang Cheng took a cigarette from his pocket and lit it. Phew! Exhaling a thick cloud of smoke, Zhang Cheng couldn't help but think to himself, younger male cousin should be fine following Feng Suzhen, right? But just as Zhang Cheng was pondering, Bai Yutong stepped forward and asked, "Brother, what is that? How did you manage to bring it in?" "Oh, this? Huazi." Pointing at the cigarette in his hand, Zhang Cheng explained. But the next second, Bai Yutong inquired, "Then what did you use to light the Huazi? I remember fire starters aren't allowed to be brought in, right?" "This isn't a fire starter. Alright, this is a fire starter." Holding the lighter in his hand, Zhang Cheng didn't know how else to explain it. Better to follow local customs. "Huh. This thing is great. It lights up with just a click. Truly a must-have item for murder, arson, and home use." Looking at the lighter with delight, Bai Yutong's eyes began to gleam. But just as Bai Yutong was playing with the lighter, Zhang Cheng faintly smelled something, as if something was burning. "Wait, what's that burning smell?" Sniffing, Zhang Cheng turned his head in confusion. But upon seeing the straw in the cell being set ablaze, he immediately rushed to the cell door and yelled, "Help! Fire!" A long while later, when Zhang Zhao arrived and put out the fire, he was completely covered in soot, barely recognizable. Cough, cough, cough. Unable to help himself, Zhang Cheng patted his chest and said awkwardly, "This had nothing to do with me. Believe me? I believe you, my foot. A fire breaks out the moment you arrive. Do you think I'm stupid?" Angrily glaring at Zhang Cheng, Zhang Zhao couldn't help but roar. "It really wasn't me. It was his fault." Pointing at Bai Yutong behind him, Zhang Cheng immediately pushed him forward. "Ha!" Looking at Zhang Cheng in confusion, Bai Yutong also wiped the dust from his face and said, "I have something to say. He was the one who brought the fire starter in." Exchanging glances, both Zhang Cheng and Bai Yutong seemed to want to say the same thing. "You little rat, you dare sell me out. Enough! Lock these two up separately, under strict guard." Shouting angrily, Zhang Zhao snatched the fire starter from Bai Yutong's hand and said, "This item is confiscated by the Yamen. Hey, 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 that's mine." Watching Zhang Zhao leave, Zhang Cheng couldn't help but shout. Back inside the Yamen, Zhang Zhao saw Gong Sun Su and immediately began brushing the soot off himself. "Is everything all right in the main prison?" Inquiring of Zhang Zhao, Gong Sun Su spoke up. "Fine. Just some prisoners playing with a fire starter and setting the straw on fire. But it's strange. How did they manage to bring it in?" Saying this, Zhang Zhao took out the lighter. "Master Gong Sun, take a look at this thing." "Oh, what is this? It looks quite intricate." Looking at the lighter in surprise, Gong Sun Su asked, "This is that fire starter. Look." Looking at Gong Sun Su, Zhang Zhao pressed the button. Click! A flame sprang up, immediately causing Gong Sun Su to exclaim in surprise. "This thing is actually a fire starter? And so ingenious." Looking at the lighter with delight, Gong Sun Su also hurriedly tried it a couple of times, finding it quite handy. "Master Gong Sun, you can't do that. Please give my fire starter back. Seeing Gong Sun so casually tuck the lighter into his sleeve, Zhang Zhao couldn't help but feel speechless. Oh, come now, guard Zhang. Are you really going to argue with me over a mere fire starter? Looking at Zhang Zhao before him, Gong Sun Su couldn't help but smile. But, hearing Gong Sun Su's words, Zhang Zhao was about to say something more but was cut off by Gong Sun Su. We're in the same yamen, no need to be so particular. I have matters to attend to, I must take my leave. Only after Gong Sun Su had left did Zhang Zhao suddenly snap back to reality and say the same thing Zhang Chang had. Wait, that's mine. Inside the main prison, Zhang Chang and Bai Yutong, who had been moved to a new cell, were now staring at each other. Click! Taking out another lighter, Zhang Chang lit a cigarette. Staring in astonishment at this scene, Bai Yutong quickly leaned in. You have another one? Want it? Looking at Bai Yutong, Zhang Chang grinned. Yes. Nodding like a chicken pecking rice, Bai Yutong eagerly spoke up. Because the fire starter from before didn't seem as nice looking as this one. If Zhang Chang knew Bai Yutong's thoughts, he would definitely say, the last one was just 1 yuan each, but this one costs 2 yuan. Call me Brother Chang and let me hear it. Looking at Bai Yutong beside him, Zhang Chang raised an eyebrow and spoke. Brother Chang. Without a moment's hesitation, Bai Yutong spoke, not refusing at all. After all, once the fire starter was in hand, who would be the brother was still up for debate. Very good. Brother Chang gives it to you. Handing the lighter to Bai Yutong, Zhang Chang suddenly stopped. Aren't you going to give it to me? Looking at Zhang Chang in surprise, Bai Yutong was dumbfounded. Well, I can give it to you, but you mustn't play with fire again. Looking seriously at Bai Yutong, Zhang Chang hurriedly advised. Because this one was a real, tough cookie. You have to remember they were in the main prison with locks on the outside, and even so, she dared to light a fire. I won't play with it, don't worry. Looking at Zhang Chang with a beaming smile, Bai Yutong grinned. But just half a quarter of an hour later, another piercing scream rang out. Help! Help! Fire! Half a shurchen later, Zhang Zhao appeared in the prison again. His face blackened with soot. Looking at the disheveled Zhang Chang and Bai Yutong before him, he took a deep, cold breath and said, Hand over the fire starter. And no, I don't have one. Shaking his head, Bai Yutong hurriedly hid his hands. But this very action was keenly noticed by Zhang Zhao. Not long after, Zhang Zhao left with the brand new lighter, a satisfied smile on his face. Turning to look at Zhang Chang, Bai Yutong was just about to speak. But Zhang Chang roared angrily, I'm out. Out is out. Why are you so angry? Looking speechlessly at Zhang Chang, Bai Yutong muttered, thinking it was only twice she almost burned him to death. Was it worth getting so mad about? Zhang Chang, twice? Twice.